Hi guys, today's video is going to be on a different subject. I've mentioned it before in my other videos, but I've never actually done a video on it before, partly because I've been trying to deny the fact that it's there. But today's video is going to be on social anxiety. I normally talk about health anxiety because I feel that it's more beneficial to try and help people recover, because I feel that I've recovered myself. However, social anxiety is a thing that I've suffered from for a long time, and I know that there's other people that experience the same problem. So I wanted to talk about it in the hope that I might be able to start tackling my issues with social anxiety, and I don't see the harm in documenting it for other people, just in case I manage to find a way to overcome it, so that you might be able to use some of the tips that I might discover through experimenting. It's been in the background all along throughout my life. I would say though that from about 2002 onwards it's got progressively worse. Obviously at the time I was experiencing some quite traumatic relationships, and I was suffering from depression, and then shortly after I moved to Portsmouth, I developed health anxiety, I had bereavement issues, so I think all of those things have just made it worse, really. So I wanted to talk firstly about how it affects me. I know that there's probably some people who might watch some of my videos and say, well, you don't seem to be particularly anxious. But it's worth noting that that social anxiety is an internalized problem, so nobody really sees what happens inside my mind, and it's very different from experiencing feelings of shyness or a lack of confidence. I consider myself to be quite a confident person, and I've never considered myself to be shy. However, social anxiety impacts a large part of my life, and makes life very difficult. So I'll just talk briefly about the ways in which social anxiety affects me. I don't have any close friends, and I've never really had any close friends. At times, perhaps, I've gone through phases where my social anxiety hasn't been so bad, and I've managed to be okay socially, but since probably 2002, that's definitely not been the case. I think it seems to be a case of the social anxiety gets worse when I'm around groups of people. There's certain situations where I'm comfortable talking and interacting with people. So I'm quite comfortable with dealing with people socially, well, not socially, but I'm okay dealing with people that provide services. So I'm fine interacting with people, say at the post office, the banks, phoning up the council, all those kind of things. But that's quite different when it comes to interacting with people that I could potentially build relationships with. So usually what happens is, if I attempt to be in a situation where I'm around people that I could make friends with, I go into automatic shutdown, and I lose the ability to communicate. I completely go into my own mind and shut off the outside world, and I don't really know what's happening and what's going on, and I cannot follow the thread of conversations, and I forget how to do everything, and I feel like I forget who I am. So it makes it very difficult, because I don't find communication very easy in the first place, but trying to do that with people that I could potentially become friends with feels impossible most of the time. So it also impacts other aspects of my life. I don't accept phone calls from people unless they're immediate family. If the doorbell rings, I will not answer it unless the person is family, and if I don't answer the door, then they either let themselves in or they call me on the phone so that I know that it's them. It means that I cannot just go to the pub with friends sometimes, because I fear that somebody that I don't know might turn up. So that's very difficult for me, because I'll be quite competent and comfortable if I'm, say, out with my brother, and then if another person comes along, I will shut down again, and a lot of the time that leads to panic attacks, so I tend to not do it in general. It means that I cannot just go out to groups, get-togethers that I've been invited to, because I need to know all the time who's going to be there. And usually if there's just one factor that I'm uncomfortable with, then I have to write the entire thing off, because I start to panic. It means that as a result of my social anxiety, I've been single for 12 years, because I cannot meet anybody, because I'm afraid of social interactions with people I don't know. So although I'm okay with people that I do know and know quite well, you have to meet them as strangers before they become your friends. So because I don't know how to deal with that situation, I don't know how to skip over the fact that they're a stranger in the beginning, I'm unable to build friendships. So it makes my life a constant struggle. It means that I spend most of my time on my own, which I'm quite lucky, because I'm quite comfortable on my own. But it means that I've got no friends and no social circle. There's a lot of people that I consider to be friends, but it's probably more accurate to say that they're acquaintances. I don't know anybody that I could pick the phone up and give them a call because I'm feeling stressed, or pop around to their house and, have a cup of tea. I don't have people that I would invite round to my own home, because that's like my safe zone. So everything becomes very difficult, and I have tried challenging it many times, just by exposure therapy, going out there and just doing it. And I would say in 90% of those cases, I have to run away because I think I'm going to have a panic attack, or I do have a panic attack, and that's quite distressing for other people, not understanding what I'm going through. And often that can lead to emotional outbursts, and it's quite traumatizing, and I just don't know how to deal with it. Any kind of social interaction, with the exception of my immediate family, takes me a lot of recovery time. So if I was to go out for an evening and be around people that I didn't know, I would be psychologically exhausted probably for about 2-3 days afterwards. And that's very difficult being a self-employed person, because I need to always be on the ball when it comes to my work. So I tend to avoid social interactions so as to be able to conserve my energy. I am an introvert as well, which I think probably doesn't help the situation. So I find interactions generally quite draining, because I gain my energy from being on my own. So it's a horrible situation to be stuck in, because I miss being around people. I miss having friends. I miss having a partner. But in order to gain those things, I need to meet people that I don't know. And meeting people that I don't know makes my anxiety peak because of my social issues. So I avoid it because I don't know how to handle those situations. So I'm trapped in a bit of a loop, really, where I would happily be around people if there were no people there. So it's an impossible situation of wanting to meet people but not meeting strangers. So I'm not in denial about the fact that I'm desiring the impossible, and I also don't drink much because I have problems when I drink and I get migraines. So I don't have I can drink a pint perhaps, or 2 pints maximum, but there are repercussions. I get quite ill the next day. So I don't have that social lubricant to be able to relax a little. So I just don't know how to deal with the situation really, because I'm frightened of everything. And although I've dealt with the majority of my health anxiety, my social anxiety is impacting my life to the point that I feel like I'm living life on my own all the time. It's like me versus the world. So I don't really know how to overcome it because I've been trying for so long without success. So I'm starting to think that maybe now that I've got my health anxiety under control, that I need to start addressing how to overcome my social anxiety. These videos, I did find them intimidating, the idea of recording myself in the beginning, and I think probably through doing them, I've managed to process how other people view me a little better, and in doing that I've learnt to accept myself a little more. And I think that understanding how other people view me by watching these videos has lessened a degree of my social anxiety. So I'm wondering that if that's the case, then maybe there's potential for me to overcome it if I were to make videos about dealing with it, because I would be more inclined to experiment if I'm sharing that with a community of people that experience the same problem. So I've been wondering lately if I were to meet up with another person with social anxiety, whether I would feel less socially anxious, simply because I know that they would understand what I'm going through and I would understand what they're going through, so we could mutually rehabilitate one another. I know that works for health anxiety. If you put two health anxiety sufferers together, then they learn the skill of rationalization. So I'm wondering if the same theory would work for social anxiety. Although I don't know that until I actually experiment, and experimenting with it means me committing to something and following through, which is a difficulty for me because I have a lot of thoughts about overcoming things, but don't get beyond the point of thinking about it and actually doing it. So this is a first video really, just to sorry, that was my cat jumping in front. This is my first video really to address the fact that I have social anxiety, and to use it as a starting point for future reference for myself and other people on things that do and do not work when it comes to social anxiety. And even if I don't manage to overcome it, I feel that making videos on the subject could be beneficial, just so that fellow social anxiety sufferers know that what they're going through isn't them going crazy. It's a disorder, and they're not alone. There are other people that are experiencing it as well. So don't listen to people when they just mock you for it, because the only reason they do that is because they don't understand what you're going through. So let's hope that I might find an answer that could help me and help you at the same time. And if it doesn't amount to anything, then at least this is good documentation for reference for people who are trying to understand what they're going through, that they're really not alone. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say on the subject for now, and if I manage to experiment in future, then I will come back and update you and tell you how it went and whether or not anything worked. Okay then, so until next time, bye bye.